Winds in the east, there's a mist coming in, like something is brewing and bad to begin. Can't put my finger on what lies in store, but I feel what's to happen all happened before.
So how do you take a character that is read, watched, and loved by millions of people all around the world and transfer her to a new incarnation in the theater? Bringing Mary Poppins to the stage required the joint forces of two of the world's biggest producers of musical theater. Thomas Schumacher of Disney Theatrical Productions, who brought The Lion King, Aida, Tarzan, and The Little Mermaid to the Broadway stage, and Sir Cameron Mackintosh, legendary producer of Cats, Les Miserables, and The Phantom of the Opera. So how did the stage journey begin?
By 1993, we're in the out-of-town tryout for Beauty and the Beast, and it seems clear that Beauty and the Beast is going to be pretty successful. And Michael Eisner, then chairman of the company, says to me and my then business partner Peter Schneider, what else can we put on the stage? And the most obvious thing we thought of was Mary Poppins. We discovered that the most successful producer of all time, really, Cameron Mackintosh, already had those stage rights.
I so liked the film that I decided to go and dig out the books, and I found they were actually rather marvellous. And though I tried every few years to see if I could get the rights, it wasn't until 1993 when another English producer, David Pugh, rang me up and said, look, would I like to meet Pamela Travers and talk about trying to do a musical version? She obviously discovered through our first conversations that I knew the books reasonably well, and what I wanted to do was make a new musical out of both sets of material and reinvent it as a new show.
Neither one of us was interested in taking the film and plopping it on stage. So it was about going to the movie and taking what was the best stuff in the movie, the most theatrical, the stuff that applied best to what the stage can do best, and then looking at the books and finding new elements and new stories.
Songs obviously play an important role in any musical and need to do more than in a film, as songs tell us more about the character's inner thoughts and keep the story moving forward. So an important part of developing the musical was to adapt and expand the existing film music.
We needed to use many of the great songs in the movie, but we also needed purely theatrical versions of those songs and needed to adapt those. On top of that, we needed new song material for some of the new characters we were introducing to it, and also new song material for new story points in the show.
Anthony Drew and George Stiles had heard that I might be doing this, and on spec they wrote 2 or 3 songs, one of which, Practically Perfect, was so practically perfect that it's in the show today and without one change at all.
In consulting the original composers, George and Anthony suddenly got a glimpse of how it must have felt for the Sherman Brothers when they adapted P.L. Travers' beloved material.
It's hard to imagine for us as songwriters how you would feel for what is, without doubt, one of your greatest achievements in an amazing career, to be given to somebody else, to be added to and to be rearranged. It must feel, I mean, my heart would be in my mouth.
I was kind of terrified. I said, oh my God, and they're going to use these new writers. And I was invited to Cameron's house, and I met George Stiles and Anthony Drew. They were petrified when I came in, but I was terrified too. I remember they played the Practically Perfect song, and I thought it was terrific. And it sounded so much like Bob and I had written that song. There was that style.
It was never hard to marry ourselves with Sherman Brothers stuff because it's what we both grew up knowing and singing from about 6 years old.
The combination of their new numbers with our numbers was seamless.
Millions and millions of people who love the movie, most of them never guess that half the famous songs in the show are new material. They don't realise it. They think that's how it always was, which is the best compliment.
Tom and Cameron brought together a multi-award-winning creative team to create the show, including director Richard Eyre, co-director and choreographer Matthew Bourne, co-choreographer Stephen Mear, costume and set designer Bob Crowley, and the Oscar-winning writer Julian Fellows. The production went into rehearsal and preparations for the world premiere began.
I didn't know this at the time, but all the creatives, I mean, everybody was right in the back rows in the landing watching us. We were sitting, wondering what we were going to be reacting to. And as she flies away in the first half, I was crying with happy tears. I mean, I was just all overcome. And so I came up and I was wiping my face, and they all said, "Oh, look, he's crying! Great, great, great! We got." They were very excited. They wanted to know what I was going to say.
The show opened to rave reviews, and this new version of the classic Mary Poppins story has gone on to be a huge success all around the world, celebrated by critics as well as millions of theatergoers.
I suspect Pamela would have loved the stage show and given me 10 pages of notes.
She would have been pleased that it had finally appeared on stage, because it had been one of her early passions that this story would be a theatrical event.
And of course, her family and her adopted son wrote me the most wonderful letter saying, "This show has finally made me realise what it was that made my mother so special."